Welcome back to Tell Me More with me, CJ Quartlbaum. Tell Me More exists to help bridge the gap in our intergenerational workplace dynamics, build better leaders, and ultimately prepare for the future. One of the ways in which we prepare for the future is by taking care of our health. It's by doing the things that we need to do so that we can live a good, long, healthy life. So today, joining me on the podcast, I have a health and fitness expert, Laura Mack. Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Laura, tell the people about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do now?
Yeah, so I am Laura Mack. I am originally from Massachusetts. I have lived all up and down the East Coast, but currently live in North Carolina with my husband. I'm a health and fitness coach because I love health and fitness, but it all stems from being an athlete as a kid in college, and still trying to be that athlete that I am now. But the transition from sports to corporate life was a big shock for me. And I am trying to help women, men too, if they follow along, but women who struggle with that transition from college life to corporate. So that's what I do. That's what I love. And yeah, it's been a good ride so far.
Okay. College athlete. What was your sport?
I played softball in college.
What position?
I was a third baseman and a catcher out of high school, and then I loved third base. It was definitely my favorite position to play, but I was recruited to catch. Yeah.
So you've made the transition into the corporate world. What was the hardest part for you?
Oh, loaded question. I would say a couple of things. Going from, I was a bench chemist. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I
I'm not
basically worked.
smart. You got to help me out there.
I basically worked in a lab and I sat at a bench all day long. I went from, you know, being an athlete and moving around and walking to class and all of that to sitting for 8+ hours a day and then, 1 to 2 hours of traffic to get home for my commute. So I wasn't really aware of how much I was moving before to how much I, was not moving once I went to corporate life. And then another thing that I would say is that the whole aspect of college sports and just sports in general, where you have a support system to going into, the real world, as they say, to not having that support system anymore. So for me, I think it was both of those. I was very good at exercise, moving around without an issue in college. And then also my support system was just completely different once I left school.
So how did you find yourself coming back into the fitness space?
Oh, what a good question. I don't really think I've ever really thought of it. I would say I think the biggest thing was my husband, boyfriend, fiance, all of those things. At the time, we still played intramurals, so we really loved being athletic. We just never really had a plan for it. We would, do things here and there. We would play, intramural basketball or just anything that we could kind of find to stay, athletic. But I think the how I kind of got back into it was just finding people on Instagram who also, had difficulties with health and fitness during this kind of transition, that early 20s of I gained weight, I didn't feel comfortable in my skin anymore, and I really had no idea why. So I really think Instagram and social media was a big piece of my getting back into the fitness space post college.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, I am an athlete. I was going to say I was an athlete. I am an
Yes.
athlete.
Yeah.
But that transition from college into your working life, it kind of hits you like, man, I don't have as much time as I used to. And I have to be efficient with these workouts. All of a sudden, I can't just do the things that I used to do and eat the way that I used to eat. So
Mhm.
how do you coach people through that transition?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think first and foremost, it's just being honest with yourself with how much time you do have, right? A lot of people that I coach are parents or they have multiple jobs um, or they're the opposite, where they do have a lot more time. I have girls who sit in commutes for very long hours of the day. And I think it's just really recognizing first, like, okay, what can you give to your health and fitness journey, right? And a lot of times we think that it has to look a certain way. We see people on social media or all these people like, how can they do it and I can't? And we have to realize we're all individual here, right? Like you and I have completely different lives. We can't expect the same thing from ourselves, maybe that we did 10 years ago or even we did last year. And it's coming to, just coming to the reality of, okay, what can I give to this? And I think a big piece of what I do with coaching is really get down to, okay, that's fine if you only even have an hour to give a day, or even if you have 20 to 30 minutes, but it's making the most of the time that you do have to give. I think we spend a lot of time just recognizing, like, okay, we might be overcomplicating what health and fitness needs to look like in order for you to get to where you want to be. Um, but for sure, it's all about strategy and all about looking at your life as an individual versus you as like 100 different people. It's not going to work for everybody. So, one-on-one coaching, what I do is a lot of strategy based on the actual person and what their life looks like.
So as you're balancing the corporate world and your own fitness,
Mm.
what's your strategy?
What's my strategy? So I've been doing this for a long time, and I think that every year my strategy has to change, and I think that that's the reality of it, right? When I first started, I was like 23. I had no worry in the world, like I had a lot more time. As I have evolved on my health and fitness journey, I've also gotten just better at things, right? And I think that that's a good reminder is that it gets easier. The strategy might change, but you get more confident in this and you recognize, okay, like what works for me, maybe not work in the long term, but right now this is what is comfortable. This is what's working for me. So for me right now, I work, corporate and I am a coach. So my time is limited, but I luckily, have the ability to I have an apartment complex gym that I'm able to use. So I try to go to the gym, 3, 4 days a week. I do some cardio here and there where I want to. But I think the big thing for most people is the nutrition side of things, especially if you come from like an athletic background, right? A lot of people love to exercise. They love to move their body. They love to feel good. But I think that it comes down, nutrition is usually the most difficult for people. And that's what I feel like I spend a lot of my time on as a coach with clients is talking about nutrition, is, coming up with ways that's easier for people to hit their nutrition goals, in order to have that physique goal that they have.
Yeah. As you say, nutrition is the key. It's probably the biggest fight that I have with people. I'm a fit dad. I'm very
Yeah.
proud of that.
I love
I
that.
got 3 kids.
Yeah.
I've worked hard to get here, but like you said, different seasons of your life require different things from you.
Mhm.
I'm not 25 anymore and
Right.
can spend 2 hours in the gym. So at 37, I'm efficient, I'm on point with my workouts, I don't go in the gym and waste time. It's the nutrition piece.
Mhm.
How do you help people work through that? Because, you have all of these restrictive diets out there. You've got all just the competing science on the internet. And for the average person, it it's a storm that they don't know how to wade through.
That's a wonderful question, and I wish I had the answer for everybody. But something that I love to talk to my clients about is just recognizing like you have to eat foods that you enjoy, right? So meal plans don't work, right? You're going to eat food that I enjoy, and you probably aren't going to like the foods that I like. And I think one of the big things that I like to touch on is anything that you love can be made in a way that you feel really good about, right? Like I think a lot of people like look at meals and they're like, "Oh, I could never eat that." I'm like, but when you break meals down, they come down into ingredients. And the sum of the ingredients are what makes the meal, right? So I think just recognizing like you can eat tacos, you can have burgers, you can eat all of these foods that you love. It's just maybe making a couple of adjustments to the meals you're already having so they fit your lifestyle. We don't have to completely change everything that you're doing already to have this, dream that we've always had. Like so many women, and I feel like I talk to so many women that always struggled with nutrition or have always struggled with the way that they look and they just don't know what it is. And a lot of times it kind of comes down to a couple of pieces. And it usually comes down to not understanding needing enough protein in your diet, which I think is a big piece for a lot of people. It's just eating a little bit more protein, recognizing that you can have the foods that you want, but what does moderation need to look like? And, just actually enjoying meals is not that hard. But I think that, and I will say, I think TikTok and these Instagram, all these macro friendly recipes really ruin it for a lot of people because there's like 37 ingredients and not really understanding food, I think, is a big piece of it. So, something I really like to do is just remind people, like, hey, what foods do you actually like? And let's just break down what those meals look like because there's a really good chance that you're already doing 80%. That extra 20% is what's going to get us there. I love talking about nutrition. I love talking about food. I love talking about food strategy with my clients because, like you said, it's definitely the hardest piece for most people, I would say.
Yeah. Tell me a little more about protein. Why is it so important and how much do you recommend a person gets?
Yeah, great question. So, for most people, I would say, well, we know from kind of just clinical research and data that we've gathered is, and most people aren't eating enough protein. I know they're coming out with all these like high protein things. Protein is our structural macronutrient. It's how we are going to build tissue and muscle and, maintain our strength over time. And most people don't get enough, right? We all usually think like, oh, protein shakes. I can add protein shakes. And it really a lot of people just overcomplicate what protein needs to look like, but if you're already eating chicken, add more chicken, right? Like if you're already eating these foods, like just add a little bit more of what you're already consuming to get more protein in, right? We don't need all these fancy supplements to eat more. And then what I would recommend for people is start somewhere between, like I would say about 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, which is a hard thing to tell people like, oh, what's lean body mass, right? But I like to say shoot for about like 80 to 100 grams of protein a day. For men, a little bit more than that, ideally. But for women, somewhere between 80 to 100 grams of protein a day would be a beautiful place for most women to sit in order to maintain muscle and build muscle.
Good. Those are good recommendations. And I purposely asked you that question because I know my sister's gonna watch this and
Yeah.
she doesn't listen to me. So I hope she'll listen to you. Love you, boo. Appreciate you.
Shout out to
Uh
your sister.
oh man. Okay, so bench chemist, is that still what you're doing?
No, I have wow, my, whole job has completely changed. I went from being a bench chemist, to project management for for a pharmaceutical company, and then I went to a vaccine company where I was a project manager, and now I am in the IT world, for, a pharmaceutical company. So I've stayed in pharmaceuticals, just kind of bounce around from department to department, but, I am, a project manager for a pharmaceutical company now.
So as you're kind of making these bounces around the pharmaceutical field, what made you decide to add a whole nother job?
Good question, because 'cause I'm crazy, that's what I say. But I love what I do. I, hired a coach myself back in 2019 with no thoughts of wanting to do this myself. And then COVID hit. I guess I should bring that up. COVID hit, and I decided, well, I'm bored. I have nothing to do. I might as well get a certification of some sort. I was never a kid that liked school, so the fact that that was my first thought just felt funny to me. So I decided to get a certificate in personal training, and then decided to also get a certificate in um, nutrition. So I loved reading about nutrition, and this kind of blossomed from there. I met a wonderful woman. Her name is Alicia. Shouldn't call her a woman, but she'll probably hate me for that. But and I applied to be a coach on her team, and I have been with her ever since I started that. So back in 2021, and I've been a coach with her ever since. And I love it. I love what I do. I love helping people. And I think the biggest thing for me is that I don't I was like I should bring this up. Do you ever recall your college days or your high school days and you took a class and you never really thought anything of it? You were like, "Oh, I'll just take this. It's easy. I've heard people pass it. I'm going to take it," right? So I took a class in college called health promotion. Didn't think anything of it. I wanted to be a dentist at one point. I was like, oh, it's probably an easy A. We'll add it to the list. And I quote things from that class still to this day. What's it now? 11 years later. I still quote things from that class. It changed my life, that health promotion class. And I ended up getting um, just like a associate degree or something in that. And yeah, it changed my life. And I think that that's kind of what kind of stemmed me to go that direction. Promoting health, I love talking about it. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
It's really cool. I think the things that we love often find their way to us. I took one sociology class in college, and looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I was a sociology major.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I really knew what that was back then. I wanted to be a journalism major, but I majored in finance. That's a whole story in itself. So I want to look a little future facing here. By 2050, the health outcomes, the health predictors for where we will be in this country look pretty dismal. Right? I think it's like 75% of us will be obese, 66% diabetic. The cancer rates are going to be off through the roof, all of those things. What are some things that you think people can do now to just easy steps to start to take care of their health?
I love that. I hate that that's our outcome. I hate that that is what the future is saying. But um, my number one thing that I tell to every single person that I start working with before their first day is I will forever talk to you about how important your sleep is. I know that's not sexy. I know it's not cute. I know people are probably like, tell me this, like what vegetables I should eat, right? No, sleep is so important for our longevity, for our bones, for our health, for our internal health, for the way that we feel on a daily basis, for our ability to make good decisions. Um, our sleep is so incredibly important, and getting enough of your sleep is going to be one of the biggest things that I see in my clients now, that the ones that go from, 5 to 6 hours to 7 to 8 hours improve dramatically. And I hone in on how important sleep is. So I would say very first and foremost, sleep is going to be a big one that I would talk about. Um, Another thing I would say is getting outside. Fresh air and vitamin D is another really important thing. Get outside, get your movement. I know it's really hot where everybody is right now. There's a heat wave going on up here. But if you can get outside even for 10 minutes a day, start your day off with a little bit of sunshine. It will dramatically change the way that you feel. It will help, like I said, just your internal health. Seriously, it is so, so, so important for us. And then more on the obesity side of things, I think that learning about food, not even in the sense of, and I know that's kind of a big one, but I think just learning and being more aware of what we are eating. Not even the sense of like how much of all of these things that we should be doing with all the questions that are coming, but I think just being more aware of what is in the food you're eating, and I'm not even talking about seed oils and all of these I'm just talking like, are you eating a lot of fats? Are you eating a lot of carbs? Are you eating enough protein? Those sorts of questions, I think, could dramatically change the way that, you know, that we all feel, but, those numbers, hopefully long term, I think that those 3 things could change people's lives.
I think it's incredibly rude of you to come onto my podcast and yell at me because I don't sleep enough, but it's fine. It's fine. But
Listen, I know parents. I get it. I get it.
yeah, I am 6 hours a night.
Mm,
I know the sleep is the wonder drug that I am not taking advantage of. But the learning about food part, I think that it sleep is very important. I think learning about food is one of the most critical things that we can do because we are so just uneducated about food. Like I grew up in a world where everything was fried, everything was fatty, everything was comfort food.
Yes.
And then we got to the point where we got enough money where we would eat out a lot. And eating out a lot wasn't Michelin star restaurants. Eating out a lot was McDonald's and Burger King and Pizza
Yes.
Hut. And we just didn't know any better. And I think our parents in particular were the products, they were duped by really good marketing.
Mhm.
All of the commercials from back in the day, like eat the food pyramid said eat like 12 servings of grains a day, and Cheerios will put a heart healthy sticker on there or a whole grain sticker. And we just didn't know. And for me, there were two big events that happened that changed my life around food. The first one was when I was 14, I gave up fried food, fast food, soda, and candy. The impetus for that was I was just an insecure 14-year-old boy, and I could go down that rabbit hole. The other one, though, was I read this book, Deep Nutrition by Kate Shanahan. Back in, it was about 2017. It was like right as I was about to have my first kid. And the first probably 200 pages of the book are like, hey, don't eat so much sugar. It's really bad for you. I'm kind of like, yeah, I get that. But then the next 200 pages were about seed oils and highly processed foods. And I had never even heard the term ultra processed food before that book. And as I talk to friends and family now, it's basic understandings of things like that that we don't even have.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I'll have to get that book recommendation off of you. I'd love to read it.
Yeah, it
Um,
was life changing.
yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think the school system failed us, and people say this all the time. I hear it all the time. It's like I could tell you what, our hypothesis is, but I can't tell you what I'm supposed to eat for dinner tonight. And I'm like, it's very true. I really think that um there's some, I would even say, like, more well-off schools maybe would have had something like a nutrition program or things like that, but I know that where I grew up, I did not have that ability to learn those sorts of things. I did not have a nutrition class that I could have taken, and if I did, I didn't know anything about it. But I think that there's just so many things that we didn't get in our education as kids, and maybe it's because not a lot of people knew how to teach us these things, or the right things to teach us, because I feel like the things that I was told back in even 2011, 20, like the whole like Dr. Oz time, I can like remember sitting on my parents' couch and that is like what is comes on. Dr. Oz is on. He's talking about raspberry ketones and all of this stuff. And it's like, we're not even scratching the surface of the things that we really need to know, right? Like, how much fiber should we be eating in our diet? How much protein should we be getting, right? Um, and I really think you nailed it. I think it you're absolutely right. We just don't know, and it's not a lack of wanting to know. I think it's more so just a lack of we've never been told what we're supposed to do.
Then what? And this is my dad rant now. What passes for a kids menu, like it pisses me off to no end. I'm really I'm particular with my kids. I'm a little meticulous. I really try to monitor what we're eating. And then we go out to eat somewhere and every kid's menu is chicken fingers and french fries. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. This idea that kids won't eat vegetables or they don't like things, it's because of what we introduce to them and what we give them. Now, my kids are a little bougie, right? They like sushi.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
my son very specifically said to me today, he's 4. He goes, Dad, can we get some skirt steak tomorrow? Like, I'm like, I didn't have steak until I was a man. Look at you. But I'm actually like really proud of that because I want my kids to grow up with a good understanding of food and nutrition because I come from a unhealthy family. And that's something I don't want to pass on to them. But it's so hard when they go on play dates or they hang out with friends and they're coming from homes with no education. And I've got to explain to my kid, I don't want you to eat a taki. I know they're delicious. They were designed that way, but it's not good for you. And I feel like there just needs to be some sort of mass movement to help bring better education, but also it's the world we live in.
Yeah, Absolutely. I could not agree with that more. I it's funny that you bring up your son because, my nephew, his favorite food is salmon, and all he ever wants to eat is salmon, and every time we talk to him, every birthday he has, he's like, "I just want salmon for dinner." I'm like, "This is so funny, you're like
Yes.
5. All you want is salmon," and it's so good because his parents must have done a great job with, like, this is we don't have to even talk about this is healthy, but this is a meal that we are going to eat because it's good for us and we should be eating these things, and seafood is good for us, and I'm so glad you brought that up because it made me think of him. And I think the way that we talk about food, especially in front of children, is so important, right? The way that we speak to ourselves is so important. And I have a lot of moms on my team with young kids, and one of the things that we talk about a lot is like, "Why are you doing this?" And almost every single one of them says, "Because I don't want my kids to deal with the same things that I have, or same struggles that I had, as a kid, or I don't want them to think like they need to look a certain way, or, be a certain way to be deemed healthy, or I don't want them to struggle with food the same way that I did." So my hope is that we can reach so many women so we can change the lives of so many, women that come after them, and, kids that come after them, because it's so important that we learn how to speak about food in a healthy way so our kids don't have to, struggle with the same things that we did.
That's so good. I've got 2 little girls, and I think about that a lot. Tell me more about this. What are some trends you're seeing among women that you're coaching?
I think a lot of them are heavy, I will say. I think that I deal with a lot of women who have either come from backgrounds of their remember, like, they say things like their mom struggled with, you know, all the supplements in the cabinet. I know that I come from that background. My mom is my best friend, so hopefully she's not too mad that I say these things, but like I said, I remember Dr. Oz. I remember learning about these things, and I am so thankful that my mom has come to me now and she's like, "Laura, what do I need to do? What do I need to fix? What do I need to adjust?" And I'm like, "Yes, I love this." But I think that a lot of people still struggle with either coming from a family history of either, disordered eating in the sense of, "Oh, I'll just stop eating for, the next week so I can lose a little bit of weight for this, vacation or something like that." Or they come from a family where their mother might be a lot smaller than they are, and their mom still makes comments about the things like, "Oh, should you be eating that if you're trying to lose weight?" Or, "I don't think you should eat like that. You're on a diet right now." And I think a lot of comments we're still dealing with a lot of things like that. So I'd say definitely and I hate to pull mother-daughter relationship into this, but I think that that whole, um, I don't want to use the word relationship, but that whole connection between maybe the way that your mom acted when you were a kid has kind of rubbed off on us a little bit. So I see that a lot. I would also see a lot of people really struggling with the scale still. That's something that definitely I think a lot of, specifically women, I would say men too, right? I have a husband, I know, struggle with the scale, right? And we step on it and we're like, "Oh my gosh." And we can't really disassociate the way that the number is telling us and the way that we're supposed to feel. I think a lot of us stepped on a scale maybe in high school and we see the number we saw in high school and it's completely different than what we are now. We have to recognize like life has changed, things have changed, you have grown up. And yeah, maybe it's a number that we're associating with the way that we felt. But we were also 16 and we had nothing to worry about. So that number on the scale is probably not a great one to remember. But I think the big one is what we learned when we were really young and the things that we hear on social media where we went from, I know I'm like rambling here, but we went from this whole, be as skinny as possible in the 90s to be fit, to be athletic, build muscle. And now we're getting back to this whole be skinny thing. And I think people are really confused about should I still be weightlifting if I want to be skinny? And, how should I feel? And Social media is a great place, but it also can be a very scary place because I think trends and things just, change so often that we have to be diligent as coaches to remind people like what the ultimate goal here is, right? And it's your health, it's the way that you feel, and overall it's the way that we can, help the generations after us.
So good. I think having been on Instagram for like 10 years or so now, you see the waves, and it can be a lot, it can be overwhelming, but so much about fitness is longevity and consistency. How do you just encourage people through those kind of peaks and valleys of their journey, not even related to the constant changing trends?
So this kind of really, really well circles back to kind of what we discussed at the beginning of just how every strategy has to change, and there are going to be ebbs and flows of your journey of when you can give all and when you can't give as much, when you can be super consistent and when you can't. And I love to talk about my corporate life as much as I can because I have weeks where I work 60, 70 hours a week. I sit at a desk, I have a walking pad for that reason, but there are some weeks where the capacity that I have to give to health and fitness might not be like what people like would assume. Somebody like me, like, oh, I'm a coach and I do this for a living and this is what I love to do, but I don't always have the capacity to do that. And I think just reminding people that you are going to go through hardships just like life, right? You're gonna have months where, you might be dealing with health or you might be dealing with family stuff or you might be dealing with things and you're going to have to figure out a way to get through that in the healthiest way for you possible. So I think that it's not going to look the same. I even tell people Monday through Friday might not look the same, but next Monday through Friday might look completely different. And it's about, like I said, the strategy that you use that you can rely on, right? And I'm not saying like, oh, my strategy is go to the gym 5 days a week because what happens when you are, on a business trip and you're in a room for 12 hours and the only time you have to yourself is to sleep, right? Like that's not going to work. That's not a strategy that can work for you. But what can we do, right? What are the things that you can control? You can, do the things that, make you feel good. That sleep, I'm telling you, is so important. Right? And it's these things of recognizing that it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be easy, but the strategy has to work. So I would really say that it goes back to you have to find the strategy that works for you. And it might not work in every season, but if we can kind of get a baseline of, most seasons, we can kind of focus on these things. It is going to take you from your 20s to, your 60s and 70s until, things are just different. But the strategy will work. You just have to figure out which one works for you.
It's really good. Before we wrap up, I'm curious. Give me your three favorite exercises.
I'm gonna tell you right now, cardio is not on there. So anybody who's listening who loves cardio, it's not on there. Um, ooh, I love shoulders. So any shoulder exercise, I will do it until my eyes bleed. So I would say a good shoulder press. I would say even just like a dumbbell shoulder press. Love them. You put me on the spot. Shoulder press would be a big one. Ls, I will have to say, I love an RDL. That would probably be my favorite glute exercise. And recently, I have loved sled pushes. I don't know why, but and I never even did them as in when I was in college for sports. I don't know why, but sometimes I think I used to like watch the football team practice. I'm like, wow, that looks really fun. And to my husband is like, those are not fun. So I don't know what you were doing, why you think this is fun, but I don't know. I love it. I think sled pushes would be a different one than your basic weightlifting ones.
Are you pushing forwards and backwards? Well, pushing and pulling,
Um like pushing and then turning it around and then pushing backwards?
and then pulling backwards. So you're
No, I've never
walking backwards.
pulled. Am I supposed to pull?
So I've learned this from Ben Patrick, the knees over toes guy,
Okay.
that one of the things for just longevity and functional knee health, backward sledding It is one of the best movements you can do. I had some knee tendonitis a couple of years ago. I'm a hooper. I'm trying to play ball until I'm in my 60s.
Yes.
And in my mid 30s, I start feeling this knee tendonitis. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Ooh.
no. My career cannot end now. So I look up this guy. Happened to find him. I think I was talking about it, and then the algorithm did its thing,
Oh, yes.
and he
It
popped
does
up.
that.
And it's a tibialis raises and sledding. He was like, these
Okay.
two exercises will change your life in terms of your knee and joint health. Probably did his program for a little around a year. No more knee pain. I feel
Wow.
better at 37 than I did at 30.
Incredible. Wow.
So highly
I
recommend.
have so much to ask you. I have so many things to follow up on. I need the book. I need that. I need all of it.
Yeah, oh, I got you. The things that changed my life, I can't shut up about. I'm telling the
I love
world.
it. I love it.
Laura, tell the people where can they find you? How can they keep in touch with you?
Oh, Instagram for sure. My handle is Laura Cam. Actually, what is it? Laura K Mac. I apologize. I got married and changed it, and now I can't remember what it is. It's Laura K Mac underscore. I am the corporate gym girl. So yeah, follow me there.
Yes, give her a follow. Laura, thank you for joining me on this episode of the podcast. Thank you for watching or listening, however it is you're tuning into this. Drop something in the comments, maybe your favorite fitness tip, maybe your favorite meal, your favorite exercise. And I'll see you next time as I ask you to tell me.